안녕하세요. Riding on the Korean wave. Welcome to a brand new week with the Culture Wave. I'm Kwon-soa in Seoul. Explore with us Korea's culture from all aspects and stay up to date with K-trends, K-people, and K-entertainment with a special emphasis on K-pop today. And all of that together with our co-host Walter Lee. Hello, Walter.
Hello, Soa, and hello everyone at home. Now stay tuned for K-Enter because I have some record-breaking news today.
Looking forward to those record-breaking news, and we're also joined by Arirang News culture correspondent Song Yoo-jin. Welcome back in the studio. It's been a while.
Great to be back. It's been 3 weeks. So hi, Soa. Hi, Walter.
Hello.
And hello, viewers of the Culture Wave. I'm Song Yoo-jin. I'm Arirang News culture correspondent.
So, Yoo-jin, you have been recently in Sweden, covering the Nobel Week, of course, in the Swedish capital, Stockholm. But apart from that, you've also got another story from the Northern European country. What do you have for us today?
Right, so this is my last story from my Sweden business
already
trip.
the last one.
Yes, it's already the last one. So Sweden has been in the spotlight recently because, as you mentioned, of course, it hosted this year's Nobel Prize Award ceremony, which was attended by, of course, Korean author Han Gang, this year's literature laureate. But the connection between Sweden and Korea goes beyond the Nobel stage, as Sweden has been emerging as a new hub for K-culture in Northern Europe. So during my time in Sweden, I had the chance to visit 2 key institutions in charge of promoting Korean culture in the region.
The birthplace of ABBA, Spotify, and IKEA. Sweden has long been celebrated for its creativity and cultural innovation. This month, Stockholm became home to the Korea Creative Content Agency Sweden, the agency's first branch in Northern Europe.
We've seen growing interest in K-pop among teens and young adults, with Swedish musicians contributing as songwriters and producers. Given Sweden's global reputation in gaming, with titles like Minecraft and Candy Crush Saga, we plan to focus on collaboration in music and gaming.
Take Stockholm's K-pop non-stop dance academy, for example. Starting with just 2 classes and 20 students in 2015, it has grown to over 15 classes with a community of 200 students.
Before, it was more of a niche thing like K-pop, so it wasn't very widely accepted. It's not only singing and dancing, but it's also like the performance. And I also liked how you get to learn to know the idols more as a person and not just as an artist.
But it's only recent years that this interest has started to flourish. So after opening Northern Europe's first Korean cultural center last year, Sweden has now welcomed KOKA Sweden, the first Korea Creative Content Agency's branch in the region.
Northern Europe historically had limited access to Korean culture due to its geographic distance and lack of dedicated cultural institutions. But with the rise of digital platforms, people here have begun to explore K-pop, Korean dramas, and more.
The opening of the Korean Cultural Center Sweden last year was a turning point. Since its launch in May 2023, the center has hosted a range of events, from K-pop festivals to Korean food seminars, establishing itself as a hub for promoting Korean culture not just in Sweden, but across Northern Europe. Director Lee Kyung-jae says there's a reason why Korean culture is spreading so quickly in Sweden.
Swedes are known for immersing themselves in their interests. For example, instead of simply enjoying kimchi at restaurants, many choose to learn how to make it themselves. Our center is serving as a space where they can share their passions and discover new aspects of Korean culture that are hard to access online.
This passion was evident among the students taking Korean language classes at the center.
You can tell this from the amount of Korean restaurants opening, the amount of Korean foods available in different Asian food stores. There is a bigger interest in Korean music. You can see Korean artists coming to play here.
People are getting more and more interested, and also having this Culture Institute opening up here as well. I think it's interesting to know more about Korea because, we know a little bit about Korea, but maybe not about a lot of the culture. So it's good to have all the other things that we don't know about Korea, like literature and food.
By bridging cultures, these 2 institutions are not only strengthening ties between Sweden and Korea, but also laying the foundation for deeper connections between Korea and Northern Europe.
Now, Eugene, you've been to a number of countries to cover culture events and events that are related to Korea's culture. So how does it feel seeing those people immerse themselves in Korean culture, like learning the language as we saw, and also, learning K-pop, eating K-food? How does it feel?
Right. As a culture correspondent this year, I was very fortunate enough, and I had the privilege to travel several countries, France, Italy, the United States, Japan, and Sweden, to really look at how much Korean culture is making waves in different parts of the world. But what I found especially special or particular about this experience to Sweden was that United States, Japan, France, Italy, there are places where Korean culture has become more mainstream or relatively more widespread than Sweden. But as I mentioned in my report, in Northern Europe, Korean culture or the Korean wave is at its starting point. So it's really refreshing to see how Korean culture is starting to be more loved by locals there. And I hope that I get a chance to cover more on how much Korean wave is becoming bigger, not only in Sweden, but in Northern Europe as well. So maybe hope we can see more Korean cultural centers and the Korean Creative Content Agency's branches being open in other parts of Northern Europe as well.
Right. And speaking of those institutions.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing that as well. So the two institutions you mentioned in your report are both relatively new, right? So you explained that the areas of Koka, Sweden will focus on, but what about the Korean Cultural Center?
So according to Director Lee of Korean Cultural Center Sweden, the center conducted a research and survey to really find out how Swedish people engage with culture and which areas of Korean culture interest them the most. And based on this data, the center selected 4 areas, which are literature, films, and then Korean food, and also handicrafts. So starting with literature, literature was a natural choice given Sweden's reputation as the home of the Nobel Prize in Literature, and also it's the home country of the late author Astrid Lindgren, who is best known for Pippi Longstocking.
Oh, one of my favorites.
Right, and also film is another priority as Sweden has a strong movie-going culture with its currency even featuring famous directors and actors. And then moving on to Korean food, it remains a favorite among global fans of Korean culture in other parts of the world as well. And also last but not least, Sweden is known for valuing handcrafted works as it's the home country of IKEA. So the center plans to design and run programs centered on these 4 areas of focus.
Let's hope, as you said, that we will have more of these centers all around the world so that, Eugene, you can cover the stories for us worldwide. Well, thank you for that extensive coverage, Eugene.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
And now time for some K-Enter news with Walter Lee. Walter, we're starting off with some record-breaking news today.
Have I got some news for you and our viewers today? So starting off, according to a preview article released by Billboard on Sunday, Stray Kids' album Hop, released on December 13th, we actually talked about it recently, has debuted at #1 on Billboard 200 charts. Now, this actually marks the group's 6th consecutive album to debut at #1 on the Billboard 200. And it makes them, get this, the first group to ever have 6 consecutive albums to reach #1 since the Billboard's 200's creation back in March 1956.
Wow.
That's an amazing achievement. So Stray Kids achieved their first Billboard 200 back in 2022 with their mini album Ordinary. They were the 3rd K-pop artist to do so, following BTS and also Super M. Since then, they have claimed #1 spot with mini albums such as Maxident, full-length albums such as 5 Star, mini albums Rockstar, and mini albums 8. So they are currently in the midst of their largest world tour to date, Stray Kids World Tour Dominate, which spans over 48 shows in 32 regions. And starting in March of 2025, the group will embark on a massive stadium tour across 20 cities in Latin America, North America, as well as Europe.
Well, this, we do talk a lot about the charts and so forth, but it really is an extremely big achievement.
Yes.
Now, Walter, we're staying with the subject of the Billboard charts, and this time it's BTS and a specific member of BTS.
Exactly. So BTS member Jungkook continues to show his global presence by achieving a groundbreaking record, another record for us, as the first longest charting Asian solo artist on the Billboard charts. Now, according to the latest charts on Saturday released by US Billboard, Jungkook's solo single, 7, ranked 153rd on the Global 200 chart. It also claimed 85th spot on the Global Exclusive US chart. That means 7, the single, has maintained its presence on both the Global 200 and Global Exclusive US charts for an incredible 74 consecutive weeks. This achievement makes Jungkook the first and longest charting Asian solo artist on both charts, further solidifying his status as the world-renowned solo artist with immense influence.
Okay, congrats to him as well. And last but not least, we're gonna go over to the movie world. A new movie coming up?
Yes, I love to end on movie news for people out there who are wanting to see the latest K-movies. Now, the highly anticipated comedy action film called Hitman 2 has confirmed its release date for January 22nd, kicking off a new year with some laughter and also some action. So alongside the announcement, the movie unveiled its teaser poster and trailer as well. Now, it's directed by Choi Won-sop, and Hitman 2 follows the story of Jun, played by Kwon Sang-woo, a once successful webtoon artist who rapidly falls from grace when one of his works is criticized for being a little overly excessive. Now, the plot thickens when a terrorist attack mimics his latest webtoon that occurs, and he is wrongfully accused, setting the stage for a comedic action-packed adventure.
Very interesting story. Now, let's hope that the new year will also bring more laughter along with this fun movie.
Yes,
so thank you, Walter, for that, and stick around.
I will do.
And now for other culture-related news, we turn to our AI anchor, Ari. Ari, take it away.
Join us on the Culture Wave AI News as we dive into Korea's cultural highlights. Let's get started with today's top story. A National Treasure Tour exhibition featuring Korea's representative cultural heritage items highlighted in textbooks is set to take place at 8 regional museums across the country next year, organized by the National Museum of Korea. The exhibition will showcase artifacts such as a picture brick with intricate landscape patterns, Sinla-era gold earrings, and royal blue and white porcelain from the late Joseon dynasty. Launched this year to bridge cultural disparities between regions, the initiative garnered significant attention, with this year's exhibition attracting over 330,000 visitors. A special media art exhibition, The Heritage Garden, currently showcased at Arte Museum Gangneung, Gangwon-do Province and Arte Museum Las Vegas, has been extended by 2 months and will now run until February 20th next year. Amid its growing popularity, the exhibition was also launched at the Arte Museum on Jeju Island beginning this week. Featuring cutting-edge 3D technology, the exhibition brings to life some 150 national heritage items, including iconic treasures like the Seokguram Grotto, historic palaces, and traditional dances. Organized by the National Heritage Service and the National Heritage Agency, the event leverages 3D assets developed over several years to provide an immersive cultural experience. 9 out of 10 digital content users are found to use OTT platforms or online video streaming services. According to the latest survey, OTT services had the highest usage rate of over 89% among all types of online content, followed by music platforms at 65%. Notably, OTT usage exceeded 90% across all age groups under 50. The survey was conducted by the Korea Creative Content Agency on roughly 5,000 people aged 10 and older nationwide. That's all for now. Stay tuned for more cultural updates and engaging discussions coming your way.
For K-pop, it was another immensely successful year with a wide range of artists and their music getting love worldwide. Now today, we want to take a look back at the key K-pop trends and achievements of 2024 and the industry as a whole. For that, we're connected live to Jeff Benjamin, a K-pop expert and contributor to Billboard, Forbes, Rolling Stone, and more. Hello, Jeff.
Hello, Jeff.
Hello, thank you guys for having me.
Thanks for joining the show. Now, first off, as a K-pop expert, Jeff, what do you see as the biggest K-pop issue or issues of 2024?
Yeah, I mean, you guys said it before in Walter's segment, there's been so many great chart achievements on a global scale, particularly in another really far-reaching international year for K-pop, whether it was the charts, whether it was seeing artists take on stadium shows, whether it was going, winning new awards or going to festivals. There were so many, global achievements in that way. But I guess to me, the biggest issue, and that word is an interesting word to use, but it was super, super fascinating for me as a reporter to be watching the, sort of the internal power struggle between Hive and famed creative director Min Hee-jin and New Jeans to an extent. Just because, this wasn't just about, two sides having an issue over a contract. It brought to light so many different aspects of this K-pop industry and so many things that maybe, especially from an international perspective, that we hadn't ever considered or we hadn't ever heard about. So I learned a lot in terms of this case as well, and just reporting it, watching it come all out in the ways that it has. And I think many of the things that came out this year were important to talk about when we're thinking about K-pop growing in sort of this global, larger way, and how can it be a global player with all these aspects to consider. So, there's a lot that has happened with this story. We're showing the kind of infamous press conference right now from Min Hee-jin. I've never seen that before personally, but yeah, that's I think I would go that story because I think there's a lot of things that need to get addressed as we kind of move forward with K-pop's global expansion.
Right. I think it's very interesting because K-pop has been in the spotlight for many years now. Those issues that may seem kind of like internal domestic issues now are also in the spotlight worldwide. So yes, Walter, you also have a question.
Yeah, so kind of going on what you said there, is there any of that expected to continue to be in the next year's spotlight? Do you think, obviously, this is going to be an ongoing situation?
Yeah, I definitely think it will be, not just this specific situation, but, as K-pop agencies, right, are creating more localized, whether it's localized groups or, expanding to having US headquarters, Latin American headquarters, whatever it might be. I do think we're going to kind of see more aspects of this industry that have been so kind of commonplace or maybe held as standards for a while. Right now, I know there's a current issue happening with JYP Entertainment USA segments and their global girl group Vicha. So I think it's going to be a really interesting time, and not to say that any court cases have been decided or anyone's in the wrong or anything like that, but I just feel like this conversation is not over, and we're kind of going to continue to see sort of the story of artists and agencies continue on in 2025.
Right, we're also going to keep an eye on these issues. But now let's move on to maybe a little bit more brighter news. Now, as a K-Culture program, we have been covering K-entertainment news on a daily basis. And some K-pop idols have been in the news almost on a regular basis, almost every week or even more frequently. Walter just talked about Jungkook today. So we're going to talk about BTS a little bit. So despite most of the members still being in military service, their achievements on the global stage have been, again, huge to say the least. So let's talk a bit about BTS, Jeff.
Oh yeah, I mean, just another huge year for BTS, and just so exciting because my biggest thing was especially in America and in the West, when we hear a group is going on hiatus or they're taking a break, we think, this is the end of the group. We're not going to see more from them. But all of these members really, really did a ton of amazing things this year. I mean, right now we have Christmas music from V. Jin was ended his military service after completing it. We finally got that solo album from him that we've been waiting for so long, and it made it so every single member of BTS has a top 10 album on the Billboard 200 chart. So that's pretty crazy, especially when you think about the fact that there's 7 members. This isn't just 4 or 5, it's 7. So it was a great achievement for that. RM's album got a ton of critical praise when it came to just making year-end lists, whether it was Rolling Stone. Here at Billboard, me and our team of staff writers, we named RM's Wrong Place, Right Person, or rather, Right Place, Wrong Person. I kind of get the title a little mixed up. Sorry,
there's the documentary too, right?
Exactly, and the documentary. It was just such a great year for him as an artist. And, even though he wasn't, here to explain every single step of the journey, he had a really, really great year. And we also just saw how amazing, Jimin's Who single did. Jungkook's Standing Next to You song has continued to do. So, huge accomplishments across the board for the guys. And I couldn't be happier to see it.
Now, 2024 was also a massive year for girl groups, especially fourth generation girl groups. So what are the factors that led to their success, do you think, and what differentiates them from previous generations, would you say?
I personally never really understood why it felt like the girl groups were almost like, a little underrated comparatively to, lots of the boy groups. But I couldn't be happier to see these female troops, really putting out super, super strong singles and being able to kind of take them around the world. I mean, this year we saw Twice not only have several stadium shows in the US, they got their first #1 album on the Billboard 200 with their With Youth album. We got to see IVE have sold out, a sold out US tour. Kiss of Life also sold out their US tour. There were really, really great moments for the girl groups, especially as we got to see them grow and get new opportunities that we haven't seen before. And I also got to and I know she's not a girl group, but I got to give a shout out to IU, because she gave her first, world tour finally after so long, and she sold out all those dates and she gave an amazing show. So got to give a big shout out to IU as well.
Definitely mentionable. I think she also recently had a big interview with Billboard as well. But Jeff, there were also some much anticipated comebacks by idol stars, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, this year was so fun, especially for like longtime fans. And it's kind of funny because groups like Big Bang and 21, these were the groups that were very accessible to me as someone who got into K-pop just as YouTube was really taking off. So these groups were just starting, very much popular. But this year was the year we got to see 21 make their reunion tour throughout Asia, which I'm really, really hoping will make its way to America, because we would love to see the girls again. But this year too, we saw the return of G-Dragon after so many years, finally making his solo comeback, but then also giving us the very nostalgic song Come Back Home with Daesung and Taeyang of Big Bang. And that song it honored their legacy. It felt perfectly suited to them. So it was super exciting to see, these classic YG Entertainment artists come back, but also, EXO members like Baekhyun and Chan and Zoomin all released new albums under their new companies, as well as Dio put out a new album under his independent company. So really exciting stuff as all these artists enter new chapters of their careers.
Definitely.
We sort of briefly touched upon it with BTS and how they're kind of doing their own solo projects, and some K-pop stars successfully went solo this year as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about them?
Yeah, I mean, you could take your pick this year because there are so many great breakout solo artists from the past year. I mean, I personally can't say enough about RM's very artistic way of expressing himself. It was a very, very multi-genre, multi-sensory experience with his album that also got a documentary as well. But we also, what I thought was really, really special about this year was that we saw so many artists kind of leave their comfort zone and go to new places, new spaces that they hadn't seen. Look at 3 of the Blackpink members, Lisa, Jenny, and Rosé, all put out solo music this year. Rosé breaking records with her single Apatu with Bruno Mars, still a hot track. She just put out her solo album that was able to chart the highest ever for a female K-pop soloist on the Billboard 200. So huge congrats to Rosé. And then also, some of my favorite albums actually came from a lot of artists that did, go into new parts of their career. Onu from SHINee released another new mini album this year under his new company, Griffin Entertainment. And I love that record, and I love seeing him getting the chance to still continue his work with SHINee, but also be able to experiment and share more of himself as an artist.
And finally, Jeff, as a K-pop columnist, what do you think is the most outstanding change or achievement in K-pop this year? And also, what are you looking forward to next year?
Ooh, that's a big question. The most outstanding achievement. I mean, we did talk about it earlier, and I want to give a tiny bit of clarification with the Stray Kids. The Stray Kids record is that they're not just the first ever group to get 6 albums at #1. They're actually the first artist ever in like the Billboard 200s, 60, 70 year history to be able to land their first 6 entries at #1. So, it's not just about boy bands, not just about, pop stars. This is about every artist literally ever. So I really have to say that that is a historic moment, and that just broke this year. So it's going to be tough to top that one. But I also always just think when we get to see more artists speaking out and sharing more of themselves and sharing who they are and sharing their stories, I always think that's a huge win. I love seeing that, whether it was Jungkook's documentary or RM's documentary that hit theaters this year. We've seen more artists go on different web series and digital series. There's just, I think it's always a win when we get to see, the human side of artists. And that's what I actually really hope to bring to K-pop in the future. And that's what I'm most excited about in 2025. Seeing more of these artists express themselves and getting the chance to share themselves as humans as well as artists.
Great. Can't wait for next year and in the world of K-pop. And thank you very much, Jeff, for your insights today. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Jeff.
Happy holidays. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thank you. Walter, we won't be seeing you for the next 2 days or so. So yes. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
Not Happy New Year yet. And thank you for spending the past half an hour with us on the Culture Wave. Please join us again tomorrow on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Korea time. Thank you.